Good morning, Excellencies, official government representatives, Excellency Ambassador Bankole, Adiowe, African Union Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, distinguished Ms. Lydie Everard, IAEA Deputy Director General and Head of the Department of Nuclear Safety and Security, distinguished Ms. Natalie Powers, Head of the Unit Stability and Peace, Global and Trans-Regional Threats of the Service for Foreign Policy Instruments, distinguished Mr. Leif Villadsen, Deputy Director of the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute, distinguished speakers and panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me first to welcome all of you to this important event on nuclear security in Africa, with the contribution of all the involved stakeholders, in particular, the African Union Commission, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute, and the European Commission. I would like to thank the invited guests, His Excellency Ambassador Bankole or his representative from the African Union Commission, Ms. Lydie Everard, IAEA Deputy Director General at the IAEA for Nuclear Safety and Security, the representative of the UNICRI and the European Commission for their immediate acceptation to address this meeting at the opening session, despite their busy agenda. I also forward my sincere thanks to all our estimated speakers for their availability to share with us today the nuclear security efforts developed in Africa from different perspectives, the programs under implementation, their experience in the field, and in particular, their recommendations to the meeting on how to strengthen the close coordination and cooperation to fully implement the NPT and Pelindaba Treaty provisions related to nuclear security. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, AFCONE, as the Pelindaba Treaty body and considered as the AU specialized agency for nuclear matters, is aligning its strategic goals and enablers with those adopted by the African Union Commission. Nuclear science and technology are issues of special interest to Africa. In this regard, African states are implementing, with the strong and continuous support of the IAEA, national and regional programs on peaceful nuclear applications in different spheres, from human health to environment. Peaceful use of nuclear energy will continue to make contributions to African states in meeting their development needs and goals. Nuclear disarmament, non-proliferation, nuclear safety and security, and the peaceful use of nuclear energy are therefore firmly entrenched in the Pelindaba Treaty. The African nuclear weapons zones parties, according to the Article 10, related to the physical protection of nuclear matters or nuclear materials and facilities, to maintain the highest standards of security and effective physical protection of nuclear materials, facilities, and equipment to prevent theft or unauthorized use and handling. Each party undertakes inter alia to apply measures of physical protection equivalent to those provided for in the Convention on Physical Protection of Nuclear Materials and in recommendations and guidelines developed by the IAEA for that purpose. Responsibility for nuclear security rests entirely with each state. However, a number of states have not yet adhered to relevant instruments or implemented them effectively through their national legal and regulatory frameworks. As the Pelindaba Treaty body, the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, AFCONE, works with all state parties with a view to achieving full compliance with the provisions of the treaty. The African Union Constitution Act recognized the need for the continent to promote peace, security, and stability as a prerequisite for the implementation of our development and integration agenda. The African Union leads policy making and implementation of decisions aimed at ensuring that Africa achieves aspiration 4 of the Agenda 2063, which aspire for a peaceful and secure Africa. The African Peace and Security Architecture, APSA, was established by the African Union in collaboration with the Africa's regional economic communities to prevent, manage, and resolve conflicts in Africa. The African Peace and Security Architecture is the framework for promoting peace, security, and stability in Africa. Its core organ is the African Union Peace and Security Council. The AU, or the African Union Peace and Security Council, is the standing decision-making organ of the African Union for the prevention, management, and resolution of conflicts. It's a collective security and early warning arrangement intended to facilitate timely and efficient responses to conflict and crisis situation in Africa. Weapons of mass destruction are part of the common security threats to the African Union member states, as stated in the Common African Defense and Security Policy. It should also be recalled that at the 5th anniversary solemn declaration of the Union of 2013, the Assembly undertook to maintain a nuclear-free Africa and called for global disarmament, non-proliferation, and peaceful use of nuclear energy. The African ministers and heads of delegations, the number was 21, in fact, gathered at the International Conference on Nuclear Security in February 2020, the ICON's 2020 Sustaining and Strengthening Efforts. They reiterated their commitment to sustain and strengthen effective and comprehensive nuclear security of all nuclear and other radioactive materials and facilities, and adopted the ministerial declaration. The IAEA Nuclear Security Division is actively implementing, including in Africa, the Nuclear Security Approved Plan of Action, in particular through the Integrated Nuclear Security Support Plan, INSCSP. More than 45 African member states have approved, finalized, or drafted their national plans. The IAEA representatives are kindly invited today to present during this meeting the support the agency is providing to Africa through national and regional programs and activities. In cooperation with the 1540 Committee and relevant regional and sub-regional organizations, the UN Office of Disarmament Affairs assists member states in their efforts to fully implement the key requirements of the Resolution 1540, including the preparation of voluntary national implementation and capacity building plans. Regionally coordinated approaches are one of the most efficient means of bolstering national implementation. Mr. Yaburi, the UN REC director, will kindly develop the subject later. Other programs in nuclear security are implemented with the support of the European Union. The European Union Chemicals, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Risk Mitigation Center of Excellence initiatives, the UN Institute for Disarmament Research, UNIDIR, the UN Institute Crime and Justice Research, UNICRI, and the International Science and Technology Center, ISTC, the African Center for Science and International Security, AFRICSIS, and from the European Commission, the Joint Research Center of Code. The principal way in which the European Union supported the African peace and security architecture since 2004 was through the African Peace Facility, established by the European Union at that time. Since 2014, the European Commission has supported stability and peace worldwide through the instrument contributing to stability and peace established by regulations. The European Commission representatives will kindly develop the subjects. The heads of the CBRN Secretariat will complete the presentation with plans of actions, concrete achievements, and recommendations from the field. The UNICRI supports the development of an integrated CBRN approach that incorporates all international, regional, and national CBRN components into a common strategy. Current programs and activities will be presented during this meeting by the CBRN's representatives and the UNICRI representatives. The Forum of Nuclear Regulatory Bodies in Africa, or the FNRBA, mainly supported by the IAEA, is implementing, according to its approved charter, programs and activities in the field. Dr. Mrabit Khammar will be very pleased and kindly present their activities in the field. So the African Commission on Nuclear Energy recognized the need to assess periodically, in close cooperation with the IAEA, the nuclear safety, security, and safeguard situation in Africa, to identify the gaps, the challenges faced by the countries, in particular the least developed countries, and develop efforts in close cooperation with its partners towards the implementation of the needed capacity building programs, and set up sustainable nuclear security systems at the national and regional levels. In conclusions, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we rely on the leadership of all the African Union countries, in particular the most advanced ones in nuclear science and technology, to develop and strengthen education and training, research and development, and legislation and regulations in nuclear safety, security, and safeguards, including by encouraging as much as possible the technical cooperation among developing countries, or TCDC modalities. I would like to thank again our partners for their cooperation and support in implementing the African Union agenda in this particular field. I thank you for your kind attention and wish you fruitful deliberation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased and honored today to moderate this important meeting. Let me introduce Mr. Peter Otim, which is the representative of His Excellency Ambassador Bankole, the Commissioner, the African Union Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, which is now in duty mission. Mr. Peter Otim is an expert in common African defense and security policy. Please, Mr. Otim, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Executive Secretary, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Just to re-echo the apologies of His Excellency Ambassador Bankole Adeoye, who is unable to join us in this meeting, but has given all the blessings and wishes us fruitful deliberations as we proceed. It is now my honor to deliver his statement. Excellencies, representatives of the African Union member states, Excellencies, distinguished international partners, distinguished representatives of regional organizations, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It gives me great pleasure to congratulate the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, AFCONE, for organizing this important meeting on nuclear security in Africa in close collaboration with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, the European Commission, and the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute, UNICRI. I wish to pay tribute also to all the African governments who are, with the strong support of our partners, have been working closely to implement the nuclear security plan of action adopted by the international community and assist all countries to make full use of nuclear applications in safe and secure manner. After years of tireless efforts, the African Nuclear Weapons Free Zone Treaty, which is also known as the Treaty of Pelindaba, was signed in 1996. Now, through the treaty, the continent collectively and unequivocally rejected nuclear weapons and decided to take important steps towards strengthening the non-proliferation regime, promoting cooperation in the peaceful use of nuclear science and technology, promoting general and complete disarmament, and enhancing regional and international peace and security. Our world continues, however, to live under the threat of nuclear disaster, either as a result of war, an accident, or terrorism. We must therefore persist in our efforts towards permanent, universal, and verifiable nuclear disarmament. It can only be achieved through consistent and multi-pronged efforts that include reviving the international disarmament mechanisms, educating our people, imploring our leaders, and strengthening the legal regimes against nuclear weapons, and complying with nuclear safety and security in peaceful uses of nuclear energy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating this year the 25th anniversary of the signing of the African Nuclear Weapons Free Zone Treaty. It is our strong belief that nuclear weapon free zones remain critical building blocks to realizing a world free of nuclear weapons. Years ago, the African Union started implementing the African Peace and Security Architecture. The Executive Secretary has made reference to the architecture, and this architecture forms the framework within which the Union implements its activities and vision in ensuring peace and security on the continent. And this architecture is contained in the protocol relating to the establishment of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union. Now, since then, the African Union has made significant progress, not only in establishing the institutional mechanisms for APSA, but also increasingly in utilizing them for the purposes of conflict prevention, management, and resolution within, rather with a view to promoting peace, security, and stability in the continent. This is all the more important given the nexus between peace, security, and stability. The objective of the strategic priority 4 of the APSA roadmap which implementation period has just come to an end, is to contribute to enhancing the timeliness and effectiveness of the response to strategic security challenges by all stakeholders. Implementing the international regimes of weapons of mass destruction, disarmament, and non-proliferation needs to be enhanced through enacting legal and policy instruments against weapons of mass destruction, strong operational and institutional capacities of member states, and sufficient research and data on the threat and risks of illicit chemical, biological, and nuclear proliferation and trafficking. The specific objective is to effectively implement instruments and policies to address weapons of mass destruction, disarmament, and non-proliferation. The main strategies include, firstly, collaboration with the international bodies to sensitize member states, to identify gaps, and to provide the required assistance to member states. In addition, mobilizing technical and operational resources for member states from donors and international partners is also envisaged. It is also expected that the outcome of all these activities is the legal instruments to address weapons of mass destruction, disarmament, and non-proliferation to become effectively domesticated. Furthermore, expert studies would also be commissioned, and reports and data available made to international bodies with a view to make available comprehensive knowledge and the risks and threats of chemical, biological, and nuclear proliferation and trafficking. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union Peace and Security Council, as also articulated by the Executive Secretary, is the center of major decision-making on the continent on matters of peace and security. The Peace and Security Council provides leadership on peace and security issues and has reiterated several times that the Treaty of Pelindaba remains the cornerstone in global efforts to eliminate nuclear weapons, and has also stressed the need for balanced and unconditional efforts made in implementing its pillars of disarmament, nuclear non-proliferation, and peaceful application of nuclear science and technology. The Peace and Security Council has expressed concern that progress towards nuclear disarmament has not been commensurate with the spirit of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So the PSC has urged states in this regard that have not yet done so to ratify and accede to the African Nuclear Weapons Free Zone Treaty, the Treaty of Pelindaba, and has also strongly urged the concerned states to affirm their respect to the nuclear weapons free zone status of the zone by ratifying and acceding to the protocols of the treaty as soon as possible. The Peace and Security Council also has requested member states to effectively implement the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1540 of 2004, the International Convention for the Suppression of Acts of Nuclear Terrorism, and the Convention on the physical protection of nuclear material. AFCONE, as the Pelindaba Treaty body and the African Union Specialized Agency dealing with nuclear matters, works since its operationalization with all states parties with a view to achieving full compliance with the provision of the treaty by enforcing commitment to compliance, detecting and preventing any non-compliance acts, and promoting peaceful application of nuclear science and technology for social economic development in Africa in a safe and secure manner. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, working towards nuclear disarmament must go hand in hand with enhancing international cooperation in the peaceful application of nuclear science and technology. Countless societies, especially in Africa, are without access to life-saving nuclear medicine and are denied the benefits of other peaceful nuclear applications in the areas of environmental protection, disease control, agriculture, and energy. We must, therefore, ensure that advancing peaceful nuclear applications receives equal attention and resources as do other areas of nuclear non-proliferation and nuclear security. The African Union, through the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, is formalizing its cooperation and partnership with the international organizations, including the UN, ODA, the IAEA, and others, the African Union strategic partners, and also regional organizations in order to promote and develop the safe and secure peaceful uses of nuclear energy. In concluding, I wish to heartily congratulate all of you once again for consolidating the coordination efforts and synergy in nuclear security in Africa. I thank you for your kind attention and wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Otim, for your statements on behalf of His Excellency Ambassador Bankole. You reminded the African peace and security architecture as a framework for the implementation of the peace and security in the continent, the roadmap 2016-2020, the importance of the nexus between the peace and security and the stability, and the weapons of mass destruction, disarmament, and non-proliferation integration with within this roadmap of the APSA. You also highlighted the domestication of the legal instruments related to these international conventions and treaties, which is one of the issues we will discuss today with the IAEA and FNRBA mainly. You reminded to the 13 African Union member states, which is still missing, to ratify the Pelindaba Treaty, and invited the countries or the states identified in the protocols to ratify the protocols. And you concluded by the importance of the peace and peaceful use of nuclear energy for African member states, but with the prerequisite or the prerequisite of safety, security, and safeguards. Thank you very much, Mr. Potim. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Mr. Leif Villadsen, which is the Deputy Director for the UNICRI. He has over 19 years of international experience with the United Nations in management and operation of criminal justice and crime prevention programs, including a program to strengthen cross-border information sharing international judicial and law enforcement cooperation, and developing services for the rehabilitation and reintegration of violent extremist offenders. Mr. Villadsen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Executive Secretary. In this virtual online era, I have to ask you, can you actually hear and see me? Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so Your Excellencies, governmental representatives, colleagues from the Africa Union, European Commission, the IAEA, UNICRI, and other partners, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to thank the Africa Commission on Nuclear Energy for the kind invitation to UNICRI to attend this very important event, and for the great efforts made to organize the meeting and to coordinate the nuclear security activities in Africa. I am truly honored to be with you here today. Please allow me, as an introduction today, to say just a few words about UNICRI. As mentioned, my name is Leif Villadsen, and I'm the Deputy Director of the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute, UNICRI, based here in Italy, north of Italy, in Turin. As you may be aware, since our establishment back in 1968, UNICRI has, within the UN system, taken a lead in conducting research, training, policy support, field activities to support the international community in crime prevention, criminal justice, security, and counter-terrorism. UNICRI's action-oriented research, combined with our training and capacity building, have served as a worldwide center for excellence on issues of security and justice, and have actively contributed to the establishment of sound and sustainable mechanism on transferring the internal expertise of our institute. Focusing on specialized niches and selected fields of crime prevention, justice, security governance, and the risk and benefits of advances in technologies and artificial intelligence, UNICRI has continued to expand its partnership and network with international and regional organizations, governmental and non-governmental bodies, the private sector, civil society organization, and academic institution to achieve the goal of a more secure, more safe world. As a strategic priority, UNICRI has increased its focus on programs and initiatives to prevent organized crime and terrorism, and the linkage and nexus between organized crime and terrorism, and to mitigate risk to improve security at major events, protect crowded spaces, vulnerable targets, ensure tourism security, improve community resilience to terrorism attack and threats, and improve cyber security and promote the safety and security aspects of biotechnology. All issues that require new thinking, strong expertise, and innovative responses. I'm therefore proud to say that UNICRI has been tasked within the UN system to play a crucial role in organizing and coordinating efforts to identify cutting-edge ideas and up-to-date action to address such security challenges. One of our flagship programs, as you're probably all aware, is of course our program to mitigate risk related to chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear, the CBN material. More than half of the 55 member states of the Africa Union are partner countries of the CBN Center of Excellence, funded by the European Union and implemented with the support of UNICRI. Out of the 62 partner countries of this initiative, 28 countries of the Africa continent, with whom we have established a fruitful cooperation in the field of chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear risk mitigation. You're all aware, of course, CBN risk know no boundaries, which make international cooperation even more critical. COVID-19 has also reminded us of this fact in the sphere of biological risk in a devastating way. Similarly, the tragic explosion in Lebanon in August 2020 brought chemical risk to the global forefront. We can easily imagine the destructive effects of nuclear security issues, such as the illicit trafficking of radiological and nuclear material. The CBN, the EU CBN Centers of Excellence, are designed to facilitate international cooperation and to identify and address needs of the partner countries. The structure is a decentralized network that is agile and easily adaptable to different challenges. Participation is on a voluntary basis, and this means that the partner countries are the owners of this initiative. The initiative also relies on a country-driven approach, which ensures that the resources are allocated according to the needs identified by the partner countries. One of the nuclear security needs that partner countries identify through this process is that more investment needs to be made on intelligence cooperation. Although countries receive considerable support to enhance nuclear detection system through the deployment and installation of radiation detection equipment and related training, less attention was paid to the human factor in the detection of nuclear trafficking. This means obtaining the right information about possible criminal activities and to act upon them. Indeed, evidence indicates that the vast majority of successful seizures of radioactive material was a result of soundly planned and executed intelligence operations. Therefore, in 2019, UNICRI, with the support of the governments in Canada, Norway, the United Kingdom, and the United States, launched the so-called CONTACT Initiative. This program, the CONTACT Initiative, seeks to enhance capacities of state security, law enforcement, and other agencies in carrying out intelligence operations aimed at preventing attempts of trafficking of radiological and nuclear material. Throughout the past two and a half years, the CONTACT Initiative has supported selected countries in the Middle East, the Black Sea, and Southeast Asia region through trainers programs, support to national training sessions, in-depth assessment of the country's counter-nuclear trafficking systems, and regional workshops and exercise to foster regional cooperation and exchange of information related to nuclear security investigation. I think this is an excellent example on how the EU CBN Center of Excellence, through its ongoing dialogue with partner countries and tools available for countries to identify needs and develop national action plan, create fertile ground for further cooperation with international stakeholders to address countries' needs. I know that Mrs. Natalie Powell from the EU Foreign Policy Instrument will speak in a second and provide more details about the EU CBN Center of Excellence. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate UNICRI's commitment to work together with our regional coordinators who are based in Algeria, Kenya, and Morocco, stand ready to facilitate further cooperation in Africa. With the support of the European Commission, they have done an amazing work together with the heads of secretariats who will present later today on the activities and priorities in the regions. Once again, I thank you all on behalf of UNICRI, and I firmly believe that through effective cooperation between member states, regional and international organizations and other key stakeholders, we can jointly improve nuclear security in Africa. I look forward to expanding our cooperation with all of you, and I wish you a successful and fruitful meeting. Thanks a lot, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Viladsen, for this very important statement, confirming the support for the international community on training and capacity building and crime prevention, and highlighting, in fact, the coordination security challenges for CBRN, and reminding the example of COVID-19 about the risk we are facing. In fact, the importance of information and intelligence in this field, and your examples of the trainers for ownership of these programs in nuclear security challenges in the regions. You concluded by the UNICRI commitment to facilitate the programs in Africa with the support of the European Union. Thank you very much again, Mr. Viladsen, and looking forward to strengthen our collaboration with the UNICRI.
Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Ms. Natalie Powells, the head of the unit Stability for Stability and Peace, Global and Transregional Threats Service for Foreign Policy Instruments. Ms. Natalie Powells, prior to starting in this role, she was Deputy Head of the Cabinet to the European Commissioner for Crisis Management. She started her career in the Commission's Directorate General for Environment. And before joining the Commission, she worked as a researcher at the Université Libre de Bruxelles, the Bonn International Center for Conversion, and the Stockholm International Peace and Research Institute on issues related to natural resources and conflict, demobilization and reintegration of former combatants, small arms and light weapons, and chemical and biological weapons. Ms. Natalie Powells, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning from Brussels to everyone, Excellencies, Executive Secretary, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'd also like to join Leif Willetsen in thanking the African Commission on Nuclear Energy for organizing the event today, and also for inviting me to address you in this seminar. So as just mentioned, I am working in the European Commission's Foreign Policy Instruments Service, where I'm leading a team which is focusing on tackling global and trans-regional threats to peace, security, and stability. Things from organized crime, terrorism, and violent extremism, to threats to critical infrastructure, threats arising from the accidental or intentional use or misuse of chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear materials. And these are challenges that are still very high on the agenda of the European Union. We remain strongly committed to further strengthening cooperation with partner countries and regions in addressing these threats, which are common to all of us. The European Union just very recently adopted an annual progress report on the implementation of our strategy against the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. And this report details efforts that we're making to promote nuclear disarmament and to support international organizations in safeguarding nuclear materials, among many other activities in this area. And the European Commission is supporting efforts of partner countries to put in place and strengthen strategic export controls for dual-use goods, for example, through our partner-to-partner program. We're helping to strengthen nuclear safety, including in Africa. But the focus of my intervention today is really on security-related cooperation with partner countries. And Mr. Willetsen already mentioned that for the past 10 years, we have been assisting more than 60 countries around the world to mitigate accidental, natural, or criminal risks related to chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear materials, so CBRN. And we're doing this through the Centers of Excellence Initiative. This is the largest civilian external security program that the EU has, and we're implementing it with the support of UNICRI and also with the technical support provided by our own colleagues in the European Commission's Joint Research Centre. And we're working in cooperation with many other partners to do this very important work. So as Mr. Willetsen also already noted, the initiative relies on the voluntary participation of partner countries. It's demand-driven. That's to say that partner countries determine themselves what they wish to get out of their participation in the initiative based on their needs, their own specific needs. And it aims at strengthening an all-hazards approach to CBRN security governance at both the national and also regional levels. The support that we're providing through the initiative encompasses things like needs and risk assessments, drafting and adopting national and regional action plans, capacity building activities, the provision of equipment in certain cases, and also tabletop and field exercises. So all of these form part of activities that the Centers of Excellence Initiative can support. And the 62 participating countries are grouped into 8 regions. 3 of these regions are regions in Africa, which together encompass 27 participating countries. In each region, we have a regional secretariat, which is hosted by one of the participating countries. And in Africa, these regional secretariats are hosted by Kenya, Morocco, and Algeria. And I believe that some of the heads of secretariat are in this meeting today. If I'm not mistaken, we have at least 2 of them here, and I'm very happy to see them in this seminar. These secretariats are playing a very important role in fostering cooperation and coordination between the countries in that region. They're supporting activities carried out within the overall Centers of Excellence framework, and they're contributing to fostering local ownership and also improved sustainability of the network as a whole. Each partner country appoints a national focal point for the initiative. So one person who once appointed then serves to support the creation of a national CBRN team comprising representatives from different ministries, national agencies, and institutions that are somehow involved in CBRN risk mitigation. So this can be anything from law enforcement officers, first responders, border officials, health professionals, crisis teams, diplomats, all those who really need to be involved in this important work. And these national focal points meet regularly together based on a risk assessment, and they identify the priorities that they want to focus on at a regional level. They formulate regional projects, which are then funded by the EU. And Mr. Villadsen already referred to some of these projects, so I won't say much more, also because you will hear, I believe, more about them later on. So as part of the Centers of Excellence initiative, we're also providing support for on-site technical assistance. These are experts who are supporting project implementers and also helping to strengthen cooperation with local authorities and enhancing technical capacity, promoting the visibility of the initiative. So they are really playing an important role there as well. The Centers of Excellence initiative collaborates with a number of key international and regional partners to address the transnational nature of CBRN threats and hazards. I already mentioned we are working with UNICRI. We're also in many cases working with the International Atomic Energy Agency and with 2 specialized science and technology centers, at least one of whom I believe is here in the webinar today. And we are together working on many different projects under the umbrella of the CBRN initiative. So this is a collaborative effort. It is, as already mentioned, flexible, adaptable. We've seen through the COVID crisis that we were still able to implement many activities in spite of the challenges that we all faced through these very difficult months. We've adapted to an online, an online working environment in many cases. So we've been able to carry out a lot of the planned activities. And we hope that as we enter, a new period in the European Union where we have in place a budgetary perspective for the next 7 years, we hope and intend to continue building on those activities in the future. Because we certainly recognize the importance of this area of work. And I hope that this rapid overview that I've given you of the Centers of Excellence initiative can also help to understand how we might be able to cooperate more in the future together with the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, which is, as we know, working very hard to establish strong links with the African Union also in this important domain of CBRN. So I think I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the other speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Natalie Powells, for your important statement, reminding all the efforts the European Union is providing to the global community, in fact, but in particular to Africa through the CBRN Centers of Excellence. And the the technical support from Europe, including through the specialized institute in nuclear security, the implementation of the 3 secretariat in Africa, and in particular the cooperation and collaboration with the IAEA in this field. You highlighted also the fact that the programs are voluntary and demand-driven from national and regional perspectives, and we recognize, or you concluded, in fact, by announcing a budget for the next 7 years, which is very well appreciated, of course. Thank you very much for your support. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the next speaker, Ms. Lydie Everard, which is the Deputy Director General and Head of the Department of Nuclear Safety and Security at the International Atomic Energy Agency. Prior to joining the IAEA, she held the role of Commissioner at the French Nuclear Safety Authority, ASN. She started her career in the field of engineering, joining the French Ministry of Energy as an engineer in '95. She worked extensively in the regulatory field over the last 25 years in positions including as unit head at the Industry, Research and Environment Direction of France Ministry of Environment, deputy head of the Paris Region Division of Nuclear Safety Authority, and subsequently head of the authority's West decommissioning fuel cycle facilities, research facilities, and contaminated soils remediation department. Ms. Everard, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Dear Mr. Baliouamer, dear ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings from Vienna. I'm very pleased to once again be invited to speak at an AFCONE event. 3 weeks ago, I addressed your group on the environmental framework in Africa for the safe management of radioactive waste. Today's webinar focuses on nuclear security, another core area of interest for the agency and for the Department of Nuclear Safety and Security. So thank you very much for inviting me in your webinar today. As you know, the safety standards published by the agency provide the fundamental principles, requirements, and recommendations to ensure nuclear safety. Equally critical is the Nuclear Security Series, which provides comprehensive guidance for enhancing a national nuclear security regime. We are pleased to have 13 representatives from African countries on the Nuclear Security Guidance Committee that support the development of these publications. Nuclear security is recognized as an important issue worldwide. Our mission is aimed at supporting member states in establishing and enhancing their nuclear security regimes. The responsibility for nuclear security within a state rests entirely with that state, but the agency provides, upon request, assistance in this area. I recognize AFCONE's efforts to engage with the agency and other international bodies to assess the current situation in Africa and to identify the gaps and challenges faced by African countries. I also note the work done to promote regional coordination in the implementation of capacity building programs, which in turn contributes to sustainable nuclear security regimes at the national and regional levels. Please be assured that the agency stands ready to support member states in Africa in these efforts, including assistance in the adherence to and implementation of relevant legal instruments, such as the Convention on Physical Protection of Nuclear Material, called the CPPNM, and its amendment. Last month, we commemorated the 5th anniversary of the entry into force of the amendment to the CPPNM. On this occasion, our Director General, Rafael Mariano Grossi, recognized the critical role of the CPPNM and its amendment in ensuring that nuclear material used for peaceful purposes does not get into the hands of those who may wish to misuse it. DG Grossi encourages its universal adherence. While 27 member states in Africa are parties to the original convention and its amendment, there still remains 42 member states who are yet to ratify the amendment, and a further 27 who have not ratified either the convention or the amendment. Please allow me to reiterate DG Grossi's encouragement for its universalization to all member states present today, and to look ahead to the amendment of the Convention Review Conference taking place next year. Over the years, the IAEA has and continues to actively support member states in Africa and around the world to build, sustain, and strengthen the national nuclear security regimes. The International Physical Protection Advisory Service, the IPAS mission, has been conducting missions worldwide since 1996. The first IPAS mission in Africa took place in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2000. 5 missions have been conducted in 4 countries in the region since, including the most recent mission, which took place in Niger last month. I would also like to draw attention to the 2 planned IPAS missions in Burkina Faso and Senegal later this year. By hosting an IPAS mission, states demonstrate their strong commitment to nuclear security and continued efforts to strengthen their national regimes. There's the microphone open. So, by hosting an IPAS mission, states demonstrate their strong commitment to nuclear security and continued efforts to strengthen their national regimes, and I encourage all member states to take this opportunity. I would like to mention briefly another service provided by the agency in the area of nuclear security, the Integrated Nuclear Security Support Plan. This is a useful service in the sense that it facilitates the identification of priority actions to be taken to improve a nuclear security regime. My colleague, Mrs. Elena Buglova, Director of the Division of Nuclear Security, will be presenting this topic more in detail during the next session of today's webinar. African member states are also regularly engaging with the agency on nuclear security through capacity building and education and training programs, including through the 48 African universities that are members of the International Nuclear Security Education Network and the Nuclear Security Training and Support Centers in the regions. There are currently 6 operational centers in Africa, with a further 8 in the planning phase. I would like to take this opportunity to mention another important agency initiative with the development of the Nuclear Security Training and Demonstration Center at the IAEA Cyberdove laboratories in Australia. This project will offer much needed additional capacity for the agency to provide nuclear security training for member states and meet the high demand for assistance. This center will support capacity building in all regions, including Africa. The agency has also been working closely with AFCONE through an ongoing practical arrangement to promote the safe and secure use of nuclear science and technology in the areas of human health, food and agriculture, water and environment, nuclear energy waste management, and industrial applications through regional groups, including through AFRA and FNRBA. To conclude, I would like to thank our counterparts in the African region for their continued support. I look forward to the outcomes of the discussions and the way forward to further strengthen nuclear security in your region. And I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you very much.
Merci infiniment, Madame Evrard, for your statement, pour votre présentation et votre engagement en fait à faire partie de nos invités de marque durant les ouvertures de nos réunions, y compris, comme vous l'avez rappelé tout à l'heure, la réunion sur la gestion des déchets radioactifs. Thank you very much.